Hi guys, I am Randy.
And I'm Ellen.
Welcome to our top 20 games of all time.
Oh, that drug out a little bit, babe.
For us. It's an important list.
It isn't, I
think
know.
If you're going to drag anything out,
it did
would probably
need that
be
dramatic effect, absolutely.
List,
yeah. So we've been working on this for 10,000 years.
Well, by working on it, we just made our list.
We made our list. But there's thinking involved. You want to think about what makes you happy, what games you feel like you need to have.
Games make me happy.
Well, then this must have been easy work for you.
It was, actually. Well, it wasn't that easy. In fact, I wrote this list, in January-ish?
Yeah, this has been going
and
for
it's
like
probably
4 months.
changed once or twice since then. Every time I look at it, I'm like, maybe I should put this on instead.
Because you play a game and then you're like, that's so... Of course it needs to be on my list. And you're like, but what can it replace? Yeah. Man, tops are hard.
Tops are hard?
Yeah.
It's
hard,
Top 20. So this is our 20 through 11. So we're going to break these up into 2 videos. This is the first one. Alright guys, starting the list off with number 20.
Yeah. Here I go. So this one, I sat upstairs at the table with 20 blank for a long time. And I just stared and I'm like, I don't know. There's so many games that I love, but what's the game that's like...
What's the game that barely makes the list?
Well, and you keep that in mind, because I think there's a lot of people who are going to be like, what? But this is games of all time that I will always have.
Harry Potter Funkoverse.
Absolutely not. Okay, I'll just say it. How about that?
That's a good idea.
Love Letter.
Oh.
I know. Just everybody stop freaking out and listen to me for a second.
Love Letter.
I don't leave the house without it. Like, it's in my purse at all times.
Yeah.
When you and I go to restaurants, we play it. If we're out, with my parents and we grab dinner before a movie, we play it.
It can be played anywhere.
It can be played anywhere. It's fun. And I don't think I'll ever part with it. And so when I was sitting upstairs and it came to my mind, I was like, duh.
Top 20 all time.
Yeah. I know.
Honestly, there's something wrong with having like a party game, a small game on your top 20.
This is my list.
We play that game a ton.
We do. That's what I'm saying.
You can play it anywhere. Ellen keeps it in her purse. We whip it out at restaurants, sitting down in the airplane, in line, any of that stuff.
Right.
So
it earned its way into my list.
Any particular Love Letter edition?
I just like the one in the little velvet bag. All right, I don't need nothing crazy. I just like the little one.
You don't like our deluxe of it edition?
I mean, I do, but I specifically, because I did think of that, and I just love the little velvet patch one. Patch? What is this? Satchel? What was I going to say? Pouch.
Pouch?
I was going to say the word pouch. It's been a long day. And we did upgrade the red cubes to be plastic red hearts.
Yeah, the little acrylic hearts.
Yeah, so that little upgrade made it crush off. Anyways, what is your 20th game?
My number 20 is Istanbul.
Really? Oh, that makes me happy.
Insert Constantinople joke.
Okay, that's good. That's real good.
Yeah, Istanbul. This one will be up on my top for a while. Maybe not top 20 forever, but this game is fantastic.
And the app for it is amazing, too.
Part of the reason why it's staying up in the list. We don't play the physical version very often anymore, just because when we pull out a physical version or physical game, we're usually playing something else. Yeah. But the app is really well done.
It's really well done.
Ellen and I play that over the app quite often. And you get a stack of pieces, and it's kind of like you move once or twice, and then you get to do the action. So it's not like worker placement, but it's almost like an action selection. I don't know if there's an official term for it.
What is that?
But you actually will move somewhere and then do the action. And depending on the grid here, sometimes it'll take you 2, 3, 4 turns to get over to a corner to do something. Well, you need to be efficient on your way over there by doing actions that make sense. By the time you get to this place, that place, pays off for you.
That's a really good game.
Oh, that's great.
I love it.
The expansions make it fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Even more better.
Coffee and baksheesh.
Yeah, the coffee and baksheesh is my favorite. And it's just a good all-around good game. I like it a lot.
Here we go with number 19. I will start again. It is Codenames.
Codenames.
Yeah. To me, it just feels like a classic. Everyone I show loves it. I absolutely love word games. I love word games. And that game just makes me happy every single time I play it.
It's a fun one. It gets more fun when you play with the same people over and over.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's fun with any group, no question.
But you really get to know, like, when you sync up with someone, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get 3. I'm going to get 3 out of this one. I just know it.
Yeah, easily.
And it happens. Just that feeling is so fun.
And you get to know each other a little bit, and you kind of lead them into them. Like, you can almost chain your thinking together. Like, this makes me think of this. Well, then that makes me think of this. So you kind of really gonna get that mind meld going.
Yeah, you got to think, how would that person take this clue? You know, so I love anything like that where you're just trying to figure the other person out. So Codenames, and I have not tried any of the like Disney ones or picture ones. I just like the classic.
Yeah, we never have tried any of the picture versions.
No, we haven't. I don't really care to, honestly.
Yeah, I think I like the word version. Like, I think I would like the word version better anyway.
Don't we have Codenames Duet? Do we have that as well?
Oh, yeah, we have that one.
So I played that. Times. Yeah, it's fine. I don't know.
It works really well, actually, as a 2-player version. I don't know why you don't like it very much.
I don't know. Because I'm stuck in my old ways.
Probably.
All right, what is your number 19?
Number 19 is probably the lightest game on my list, I believe. I'll have to double check that. But it is the Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Why do you love it?
It is a push-your-luck game. Yeah. It's easily my favorite push-your-luck game.
Yeah.
And
that's great.
Because it has so many different elements to it. You have so many different spells, and each one of those little chips has a different spell. And when they come out, they do something special. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes it's ignore the previous white chip. Sometimes it's like, you can go extra spaces, depending on which chip you pull out. And there's so many different versions of each spell. So there's, 6 or so colors, I think, in there. And once you get the expansion, it even adds 2 more types. So I think there's 6 total ways of each different color in there. So just think of all the combinations you could do. They have, suggested combinations in there.
I was just going to say, some of the colors actually work better together. So if you get, this little, orange, black, purple engine thing going, they play off each other, and you're able to get
there's certain ones that will have synergy with others, so you can kind of really go with, these 2 colors and around. And the expansion adds, kind of a little bit of a catch-up mechanic in it also.
The rat tails.
I mean, there's always the rat tails, but then the herbs are kind of like an extra little catch-up thing.
Sure. Oh, I love the expansion with that.
Yeah, the expansion is quite good, and it has, these one-time use things that everybody can do. So there's 3 different, I forget what they call them, herb something
witches?
Or others. But you can actually, they're herb witches. I guess you're hiring the herb witch or something like that. Thematically, I don't know, guys, but there's 3 different ones in there. And you can do one of each of those throughout the game at some point. And you decide when you're going to do it. So you're trying to find the optimal time to activate that herb witch.
Because it's a one-time thing, man.
Right, and that can really boost you up. So that's just a great push-your-luck game. If you're interested in any kind of push-your-luck games, this, I think, is the Cadillac. Although I would say more like the Ferrari or Mercedes. Because I'm not a big Cadillac fan.
There we go.
But
with the cars.
I think you catch the drift. It's the best one, in my opinion.
Pun intended, guys. Pun intended.
All right, moving up on the list, we're at number 18.
Okay, so I'm just going to say it. 7 Wonders.
7 Wonders.
7 Wonders. It's a card drafting game. So easy to teach. So easy to pick up.
Super fast.
It's super fast. It's actually becoming one of those games where we're like, hey, so-and-so is going to be here in 20 minutes. Do you want to just quick, get a game really quick? And let's go. And you just go. So you have this tableau you're building in front of you. The whole thing is just drafting. And so you're hoping that cards come back around that you saw here, but you wanted this one more. It just feels like a classic. I don't think we're ever getting rid of it.
Yeah, straight up drafting. Then there's set collection from the drafting, which is kind of a normal part of drafting.
Right.
Different colors. Some colors will give you straight points. Some of them will have synergy from age 1 to age 2 to age 3, where you build this one, then you get to build it for free the next time. Resource, gathering, and then people to your left and right, you could buy resources from them.
I love that so much, yes.
So many good things, and if you've got a group that's played it a lot, or just people that have played it a lot, you can knock out a game in 20 minutes.
And that's what I love about it. I really appreciate games that make me feel like I just played a really good game in such a short amount of time. I love speedy games like that.
Yeah, that's a good one. My number 18 is Res Arcana.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I could totally see you doing that.
I like Magic the Gathering a lot.
Yeah,
and
you do.
it's a game that I don't really get to play with people very often. It's just, I don't know, for some reason the board gaming world, it's just, I know there's plenty of people that like it, but to play with somebody that's like on your same level, that has like the same amount of, I don't know, money, I guess, as you,
absolutely.
or like putting the same amount of money in the
in
deck.
there.
Because you can spend $1,000 on a Magic deck and just, run the tables with somebody whether you're good or not. Now, granted, you have to be good to play the game. But you play against somebody that has like a $20, $30 deck, and the other person has this $100 deck.
Yeah.
And that
very
makes
often
a dent,
it's right? That makes a big difference.
It can make a huge difference.
All these people that, I mean, to me, that's amazing that people spend that kind of time. And I really mean amazing. I'm not being sarcastic. Like, they make this deck an amazing, like, winning machine.
Right.
And you don't have the energy to make your own deck, and neither do I. So we never play.
Right. It does take a lot of pre-planning and things. So, Res Arcana gives me kind of that same general feeling, it's a deck builder, right? But you've got like the cards that you start with.
Yeah. And those are all you'll have the whole game.
That's all you have for the whole game. And then they'll come up eventually, right? And you get to put them up. You can kind of pre-plan your strategy, but you don't know how the cards are coming out, when the cards are coming out. Is that card that you really need to get that synergy with the one you just played at the bottom of the deck? Is it in the middle of the deck?
Yeah.
Are you really just trying to, go through your deck to get to that one card because you really want to make that strategy work? Making decisions on the fly.
Do you love this game with the expansion or by itself?
Definitely with the expansion.
Yeah,
there's
the
not much.
Is so good.
I mean, it doesn't add like a ton.
It adds a tile in that has a really cool ability, and I used it a bunch, and now I can't remember what it does.
Yeah, some of the spell tiles in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's great. You can get an idea of everything you're going to have in your hand for that turn, and that's my favorite part. And then just making that strategy work.
Yeah. Okay, we're on to number 17. My number 17 is Welcome to.
Oh, very good choice.
Thank you. It's a flip and write game. As numbers come up, you add them into your town, which you get to name, which is always, I think, the hardest part of that game. Sitting there trying to think of a cute name for it.
What's the best name?
So when a number comes up, you want to put it somewhere in your town that makes the most sense, because anything to the right of that number cannot be lower than the number that you wrote. They have like a spring edition, a Christmas edition, where I love the Christmas one, by the way, because if you put your numbers like in sequential order, which you should be doing that anyways, you can string Christmas lights up and gain extra points for doing that. And Easter has the spring one has Easter eggs you got to try to circle with your numbers and things like that. It's just really cute. It can play an infinitive, what's the word?
Infinite
amount of players.
Yeah, it's great. Everybody works off the same deck.
Yeah.
And there's 3 decks laid out, and they each have a number. And then on the other, paired up with each one of them is like an ability of sorts. So once you do that number, you get to do the ability with it. So there's something like pools. So a number of your different houses will have pools. If you put like a 7 and a pool together, somewhere in the middle of your board, then you get to fill in a little pool.
Right.
And if you fill in all these pools, you get a bunch of points.
Right. And there's also like fences too.
Yeah, there's fences.
So if you choose the number with the fence on it, you can draw a fence. You can make it look like a fence if you want, or just draw a line and you can place that line strategically to make it like a block of 3 houses, a block of 4, a block of 1. And you want to do that because there will be cards out for you to score, like get additional points for bracketing off those amount of houses in that formula and the way that they tell you to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really
fun. The first person to do that, they get the most points,
right.
and then everybody else will get the lower points.
Yeah.
And there's so many different great things. There's not really a lot of interaction, right? It's a roll and write game. But there is some, because you're kind of looking around and seeing, oh, he's really close to that objective. I'm going to go for something else, so, because I know he's going to get the highest number anyway, so I can kind of finish that objective anytime, because I'll get the lower points later. You count up all your points together. There's ways of, if you play like the advanced mode, you can put in these roundabouts, and that actually lets you start basically a brand new street
in your
row. So if you have a real high number in the middle, and you find that you're having a really hard time, getting a number back over here, put a roundabout in there, and you get to restart your entire row.
Yeah, there's also parks as well. So like every street in your neighborhood has a park to it. So when you fill in like the first tree, I think it's a point, and then like the second tree is 3 points, and the third is 5 or something like that. So
it's almost like a set collection part of it.
Yeah,
just lots of awesome elements in this game, and then
it's
having all the different
paper and a pencil and a deck of cards.
Yeah, and then having the extra boards that come with it, like Ellen mentioned. They all have like a different special way of scoring on top of it.
I think they have a
Really good
Halloween
stuff.
one that I wanted to check out too.
That might be fun.
Yeah. So, anyways, what is your number 17?
Ellen, my number 17 is quite the awesome game.
Okay. I just saw you peek down to the ground at your tablet, which means you forgot what it was.
I did forget for a second. Don't tell anybody. And then I looked back at it and I saw number 18.
That was so indiscreet.
I said, that's not right.
Yeah.
Mine, number 17
A little raw
is
moment there for you.
Skulk Hollow.
Oh, fantastic 2-player game. It's delicious. It's right behind your head.
It is. You might be able to barely kind of
good.
see
You know what's
that.
exciting about it too is currently they're working on more monsters.
Yes, they have a standalone expansion
Yeah.
called Mall Peak that's coming out. You have to preview it, and it looks like quite good.
Yes, it
But we're
is.
talking about Skulk Hollow right now.
Yeah,
it is a 2-player only game, and there's 2 different sides. There's one person that's like these guardian monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Big, they even have these big boards that go to the side. There's these big guardian monsters. Each monster has like a different way of, different actions
Mm-hmm.
and things that it can do, and then a different way that they can win.
Right.
And the other side is the Fox and Hero. They have like a whole deck full of different hero cards in there that they bring out, and they're just spamming people all over the map. And the monsters, you actually have to jump onto them. So you have like a central moving board. It's like a 3x3 grid. And once you get into a monster square, you can actually jump onto him. And now you're onto this
So
board.
cool. Yeah.
Now there's multiple points on each one of these monsters, and once you damage all of them, say there's 2 hearts on one, there's 1 on one, 3 on another, you damage that area, he can no longer use that ability for the game unless he heals.
So cool.
So you can really just strategically knock out this like pincher move, and now I can't attack in this direction.
Right.
Various things like that. It's all card movement and card manipulation, card play. Fantastic game.
Don't you have you have 3 cards in your hand, correct? And then from those 3 cards you choose which ones to play out?
No, I think you have 5 cards in your hand,
you start with
and then
5?
depending on how many, you'll have several actions. And, yeah.
Why did they think
So you put them down. There's like movement cards, and then there's other cards that let you do the various actions in the game. There's so much goodness here, and I'm pretty sure it's my
Really
favorite
good.
2-player game.
I've heard you say that. It's that
Like
good.
especially 2-player only game. It's the best.
Yeah. And I have to mention this because I mention it every time. Every time we talk about this
Here we go.
stupid game, I say this. I love the art. Okay, because the guy who helped work on the art was inspired by the Robin Hood animated film from like the 70s or something like that. I think it was the 70s. He was so inspired by that art that he used kind of that inspiration to put it into this game. And you can feel it. Like, I feel like I'm Robin
Yeah, it definitely has
Hood.
that feel.
It's so great.
little art style
I
a little bit.
appreciate good art. Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah, it's an
tidbit.
overall great package.
Yes,
Really
so
good.
good.
All right, guys, almost halfway through this list. We are at number 16.
16. Here we go. My number 16 is Feast for Odin.
That's an excellent choice
Thank
for
you.
a top 20,
Thank you.
but it is not nearly high enough.
Oh,
Why? Really?
didn't know that I failed you. I'm actually staring at it right now. Okay,
Why so low?
I don't know because there's lots of other games.
Disappointed in you.
Wow, you're kind of giving me a little bit of a clue of what's going on with your list.
Well,
by
it's
saying
definitely
that.
higher than
So,
16.
Okay, so it's on your list. Excellent.
Well, okay.
I got this game for you for Christmas, and
You
I
did?
debated whether or not getting it because I knew I'd have to play, and it is huge and heavy, and there's so many pieces, and it just looks intimidating. But I absolutely love it. It's worker placement. You have your set of Vikings and your own little board. You have to feed your Vikings, so that's something you got to keep track of that, and so that's always kind of angsty. You're like, ugh, I got to make sure they have food right away, so that I don't forget later because I have killed people. I don't think you've killed any Vikings ever or gotten the penalty.
They don't die. I think it's just like a starvation
Starvation
token.
token.
So I think it's just like a few extra or minus points.
Okay, I feel like I've definitely forgot to feed some people. But so the thing that
I'm actually really surprised that you like this game.
I love it so much. It's so you put your.
I mean, I
your
knew it was going
worker
to be
down,
on your list because I know you like it that much. But like,
Yeah.
biggest reason I didn't pick it up myself is that I thought you'd hate it.
Well, I thought that I might, and it was a gamble getting it for
Yeah,
you for
that is
Christmas.
true.
I ended up playing and being like, oh, phew, I love it. You put a worker down, you get the thing. or you can go whaling or hunting, and those two particular things require dice. But I love that even if you fail like your whaling mission, you still get something. So there's always something to be had in the game. You're not gonna like go down a whaling path and then lose so bad because you didn't do great at whaling.
Right, and you have to roll a die to like figure out if you're going to be successful or not, and then you can mitigate that with some cards. But even if you're not successful, it's not like a luck thing. It's you just get a barely lower or barely less reward or a barely higher reward.
Right.
So it's very much an Uwe game where it's
I love that.
not luck based.
Thank you, Uwe.
But it does have that little tiny element of going, okay, well I did a little bit better here. So
exactly.
That's cool. I like that.
And the one thing that I did not think I was gonna like is it has a Tetris aspect to it, which deters a lot of people. I've talked to a lot of people about this game, and when they hear that, they're like, oh. But it's so forgiving because when you get your pieces and you're like wanting to put them out to cover, you had to cover little pictures of like -1. Those are all negative points at the end of the game. You want to cover those so they're not visible. Anything left over is a negative point towards you. But you don't have to fill in those spaces right as you're getting things. So you can put them out when it makes sense, and you can also put them out in such a way where you're like going around like a bonus picture. So you can get, like the truth horn, we call it, every time, or like just little bonuses that you can get. So it's weird because there's Tetris and worker placement, but it works and it's yummy.
The Tetris aspect is not too strong in it. It's not like a patchwork type thing where you're really trying to perfectly intermingle everything. In fact, later in the game, many of the pieces are just like squares or rectangles.
Right.
So you're just like blocking off big chunks.
And you can
of
even
areas.
use like your money. Like you can use money to like fill in places so that you're not getting negative points. It's forgiving
Tetris. Though. I mean, if you
polyomino.
absolutely hate like Tetris things, don't get it. But if you're kind of take it or leave it, don't
let that deter you.
Don't leave this one.
It's such a great game.
All right, my number 16 is a game, Ellen, that you have not yet played. And I am...
How is that possible that you played it and I did?
I am a little ashamed...
What is going on
that I've not made you play this game.
I'm a little ashamed that you have also played a game that I have not.
Yeah, well, I've played a lot of games you haven't.
Right. Okay.
But we don't own this game, and I feel like maybe you should hand me your phone right now, and maybe I should be ordering it right now.
Placing an order right now? Right
here
in your...
It is fantastic.
Well, what's the dang game?
Oh, the game.
Yeah.
I bet you'd like to know, wouldn't you?
I think they'd like to know as well.
It is
Sweetheart.
Orléans.
Oh, Orléans.
Now, everybody's got to do that when Orléans comes out.
You can't not do that. It's so fun.
This is a bag building game. So, bag building, if you haven't heard that term before, is really deck building with tokens that go in a bag. So, same kind of concepts. You're acquiring more people. All these different people do various things. On your board, you need certain people to fill out certain areas, and you acquire those more and more and more throughout the game through placement and all that. And they go into your bag, and then you pull them out of your bag. So it's kind of like your bag is your deck. And what's interesting about this, though, is that you don't necessarily will ever be able to pick out every single person from your bag. So you don't just like cycle through your entire bag.
Oh, okay.
Right, so you go through, and then at some point you're going to reset, and there's a chance that you'll just never pick out one of those guys that you
Is it like a high cost to get that person into the bag? So it's like, oh, I really hope I draw him. I hope it makes it worth it.
You're really trying to, a lot of times, hope for a very specific person so you can fill in that part of your board.
That sounds amazing. Go buy it. Why are we talking right now?
There's various different expansions that go along with this. There's one where it has like a little map aspect to it where you're kind of traveling around.
That's cute.
Yeah, there's some really good aspects of this game, and the deck building part is really well done with it being in your bag. I think you need to try this one out.
I think you should buy it, like I said.
Yeah, let's buy it. We'll do the next number in about a half hour after I bought the game and all the expansions.
All right, we're here at number 15. We are halfway of our top 20.
This is the top 5 of the bottom 20.
Half it. It's half. So we're at 15. My number 15, I don't even know if I can say this yet because it just started. It's just went on Kickstarter a month ago. I think it's funded. It's Moonshine Empire.
Yes, it is funded.
Okay.
So it is coming out officially.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't know.
Oh,
but I love it so
Empire.
much.
Yeah. I enjoyed this one. Yeah.
So somebody sent it to us and they're like, can you try our game? We're very passionate about it. And we're like, yeah, we'll try it out. Sounds interesting. I ended up absolutely loving it. We played the prototype. All the rules were done, but the art and stuff wasn't. So I am curious to see kind of how they change parts of that. But anyway, it's a pick up and deliver.
The art was more or less finished, right? Yeah, it was pretty. It was a pretty polished prototype, and the rules I think were all final.
Okay, so I was saying pick up and deliver, but you're not really picking up. You're just delivering.
You're picking up from your your spot.
So
from one spot to another.
Basically you're a shiner in the game. You have your own person with their special ability. You have a board where you're stilling moonshine. I was going to say alcohol.
Well, you're distilling it.
You're distilling it.
In your still.
You're distilling it. Yes. I don't know anything about this and how it works, but there it is. So you want to get your moonshine to the middle of the map, which is where Pappy lives in the middle of the swamp, which is so cool. Yeah. So the board is a swamp. Okay, and so you also have like trucks and ATVs and what are those big boats called? Airboats. Yeah. So, if you're in that, your guy's in that, you can go on land or water, just like an airboat would be able to do. You can load up like your vehicle with your moonshine based on what vehicle you have. So like a truck can hold more. I just think that's so cool. The chain mechanism of moving around is so dang cool.
Right.
So if he has like a truck with moonshine just in it, like a ton, and he just jumps out because he needs to get to the ATV or wherever, drop a load off and come back. If he leaves that unattended, like I can steal it. And I just think that is fun.
None of the vehicles are owned by anybody.
No, they're just all over the map. Like,
and none of the moonshine is really either. Unless it's in your still.
Right.
Then that's the only way it's protected. If it's just sitting in your camp or sitting in a vehicle, I can just kind of walk on over and just grab it.
It's so good.
But that chain movement that Ellen talked about, that's my favorite part. You could have like a little rowboat waiting next to like your area. You could roll that to a bridge that has like a waiting truck in it. So each truck gets its own, or each vehicle gets its own amount of movement. So you could literally chain 4 vehicles together and go across the entire map in one turn.
And the cool thing too is, so like Pappy, you're trying to get him your moonshine in the middle. But circling around his little hut are alligators that will like eat you, which I think is amazing. And there's also cops who are trying to confiscate your moonshine, throw you in jail.
Yeah.
So you're trying to avoid them being in the middle. So you got to strategize when to like drive your truck in, because they could confiscate everything in your truck if you don't take it with you. It's just, man. Right. I didn't even know I liked this mechanic of a game, but that was
I'm not a huge fan of pick up and deliver, but this one is fantastic. I
just love it.
I really like it.
Yeah. So what's your number 15?
My number 15 is Obsession.
Oh my gosh. Aww.
Is there like another title to that, Obsession? I don't think we have it. Oh, yeah. We have it behind us. Pride, Intrigue, and Prejudice in Victorian England. England.
That's how they say England in England.
Just like it. So you have a set of workers, and these workers have different jobs that they can fulfill. So you have your butler, you have your valet, or your valet. You have your ladies' maids. Yeah. You have, what's the other one?
Did you say footman already?
Or who's like the head of the household, or what's the lady's name? Lady, I don't know, whatever. It's like a lady in waiting or something.
There is that actually.
Yeah. Anyway, so you get these tiles, and you're building up in your area. There's like 5 different categories. There's like a sporting category. There's a prestige category, and it's very thematic, honestly. All in all, there's you're playing a card game in the parlor. You're out playing cricket on the lawn. All these different things. So it's just a really kind of very well thematically made game. And you will bring these areas out into your board, and then you need a certain amount of people to basically run the event. So you might need a valet, you might need a butler, you might need an under butler to run this event. And then you also have a hand of cards that has all your guests in it. And these guests have different prestige levels. There's like a single prestige, and there's like a double. The fleurs. And each one of those cards can potentially require something also. Yeah. So you might have some, super popular, bigwig that comes over your place, and he needs a butler to take care of him, or a footman to take care of him so you can even play him out. So you need to provide the staff for these people. And they'll then give you either points or money and things like that. And that's just how you win with the points, right? It's a Euro game, but it's very well done thematically.
If you know me at all, I love period movies. I love Victorian England. You know me decently.
I know you pretty well, and I can tell you that what she's saying is accurate.
Oh my gosh, I've seen all the Pride and Prejudices. I've seen all the Emmas. I've seen all the everythings. I love BBC and the masterpiece classic shows and movies. Oh my gosh. So when I heard there was a game like this, I'm like, I need it.
Right.
And it ended up not only being thematically delicious. I love that she needs a lady's maid. Like, she's coming to stay in your place, and she, needs these specific people to help her. It's so true to that, but it's actually a good game.
Yeah.
Like, I can play it loving the theme, and I can play it loving the game.
I'm really looking forward to the next expansion that's coming out too, and seeing what all those things add up. But yeah, this is a good one. If you're looking for a thematic game, you like, say Pride and Prejudice. Now, it's not the same era. Okay, we all know this. Yeah. Okay, it's not the same era, but it gives you that feel like you're watching the movie. It's really good.
So good. Yeah.
All right, guys. Now we're moving on to number 14. Ellen, what you got?
My number 14 is Lorenzo Il Magnifico.
Nope. I don't believe you.
You might be shocked.
This is a lie.
I know.
This is a lie. This really?
Yeah.
Seriously, as a 14.
I actually call him like my boy. I love this game.
I definitely would have pegged this as like a top 5 for you.
I think it was closer to there because I've been kind of manipulating my list for a while. But I've played. I'm just rationalizing at this point. I don't know why. I'm going to stick with it at 14. I love it so much. I think I love it more than 14, but it's staying there right now. This game is a dice placement / kind of worker placement game. It's got both going on. You roll these big chunky dice, and everybody at the table is going to be playing off those dice, using their individual workers to act like the dice represents that worker. That was really hard to say. Oh my gosh.
The worker has, you have three of your color worker, and each on the top of each of those is the color die that it represents.
Thank you. So based on that, you're able to, place your guy out and get some things. Everybody has their own little board in front of them. You're trying to get cards out there onto your board to score points. And I love that there's like a production and a harvest. I believe it's harvest. Yeah. And when you activate those by going somewhere on your map, you can activate as many as you have in your game board.
Right.
So sometimes you get a ton. Yeah, okay, so as long as you are high enough on, what is it called?
The pips?
Yes, the pips. This is so hard to say, I don't know why. All I'm trying to say is that if you're able to trigger one of those 2 columns of cards, you can end up potentially getting a ton of resources. Right. I absolutely love resource games.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of an engine building aspect in that way. So you'll activate that row, and everything that has that pip value or lower will activate. Right. So you can get coins, you can get wood, you can get stone, you can get more workers, you can get points, you can get what's the faith track.
Oh, that faith track is mean.
Things. And then the other one kind of is like a conversion thing. So it'll take different things and convert it into other things.
Yes.
And then you have a set collection aspect with these blue cards. And you have all these purple cards that give you end game points.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. And it's kind of one of those things where you don't want to do everything. If you spread yourself too thin, you did. This is one of those Euros that's pick something and be good at it.
Yeah, pick one thing, maybe 2 things, and just really focus on those, get those filled up. Because if you fill them any single row up, that'll give you the best advantage or the best points or whatever,
Tell us, what is your number 14?
My number 14 is Raiders of the North Sea.
The Northern Sea?
No, the North Sea.
Oh, okay.
It is northern. But it is North Sea.
That's more like here.
That's the official name of it.
I'm very happy this made your list. I approve, and I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us why you like it.
Well, I do like it quite a bit because it is a worker placement game, which, as you will see from this list, there are probably many worker placement games on this list.
Oh, yeah.
This one is a little bit different than others. You have one person, but when you place them out and do an action, you get to pick up a different worker that's already on the board.
Yeah,
so the board will be originally populated with, 3 workers?
Yep.
And then you'll pick up from that spot, and now that spot is empty, and then another one's full, right? So the one that you put out is full, and you'll pick up one, and now make that empty. And then as you pick it up, you get to do that action as well. So you can't pre-plan which 2 actions you're going to do.
Yeah.
And in fact, which one you do first can matter in the game. Sometimes you'll need to get money first before you can hire somebody.
Yeah. Yep. I've made that mistake so many times. I'm like, pull somebody from the barracks, and I'm like, I needed to get money first.
Right. So you can't necessarily get money first because there might be a worker there already. So you have to go somewhere else first and then pick up to get the money. And then next turn, you're hoping that the barracks is going to be empty so you can do that first next time.
Yeah.
That part of the game is the best part of it.
It's a very cool and I think unique mechanic. I don't know of many other... I'm
trying to think of one offhand. There's probably one out there
that I've played on that.
But this one is quite good.
It's very
And so as you're doing that, you can hire crew members into your hand, and you'll put them down, and you'll go out and plunder. So plundering is the main way of raiding, of getting points and resources in the game.
Of the Northern Seas.
So there's these different places, and they get kind of easier to harder. So there's like the harbor here is pretty easy. You just need, a couple of guys out there, maybe a few provisions, and you get some resources for that. Then you go up, and you start getting points that are, more points for some of the mid-level stuff, and then you get a lot of points when you start raiding the fortresses, but you need, your weapons. Yeah. So your crew member that you hire each have, a weapon value. They have, a special ability on them, and then you can also roll dice, and all of that combined will give you what your offensive value is. And depending on how high that is and which place you're attacking, you'll get more and more points.
Right, and you have to remember, too, if you're going to go way out and, raid a fortress, you actually need a white meeple for that. So there's gray, white, and black meeples in this game. Depending on where you're going to raid, you might need a specific color. So that's something to keep in mind when you're over here at, base camp, moving pieces around, placing that, picking that up. I might not necessarily need the silver this round, but I'll go there anyways to get my guy out, and then I know there's a gray guy over here. Pull him in so that by the next turn I can go to where I want with his color.
Right, and those gray and white meeples come out by raiding farther and farther on the board. But then once you have a white, you can't raid some of those smaller areas at the bottom too. So it's all this balance and give and take and all that.
So good.
The biggest reason it's not higher up on my list is the base game. It's not repetitive, but
it's a little repetitive.
You'll go out and you'll do something, and your people died. Like in any good Viking, you go to Valhalla and you get some points for dying. But as you're dying, you have to recoup before you can really get further up. Or just even if you don't die, if you're not raiding a place that doesn't die,
you still lose provisions.
Right, you still lose provisions and things, or gold if you get up to the higher areas, and you almost have to reset. So it's you go do something cool, and then you're okay, I got to do a couple things here, and then I can go do something cool again.
I think the reason you're feeling that right now, too, because we do have both expansions, and every time we play the board game of that, we add at least one expansion. But we've been playing the app, and it's only the base game. Please, guys, who's making that expansion? Let's go. Come on.
The expansion needs to be added to the app.
Let's do this. So we've been playing so much of the app lately, which is fun. But because we're experiencing the base game over and over and over, it does start to feel a little bit oh man, I gotta go get provision. Yeah.
With the expansion that it adds, it mitigates that somewhat. There's still some setup turns and things, but there's just so many other things you can kind of do.
Yes, that's what it is.
And different ways that you can score points. That really opens up the game a lot. I would recommend the expansions after you've played a half dozen times with the original, and just to keep that fresh, because it might get a little bit stale with just the base.
I can see how it would get a little stale.
But that's okay. It's still a great game. Yes, and my number 13. Oh,
you don't even know. We'll take a gander at our list in a minute. Whew, okay, we're at number 13.
Ring-a-ding.
Ring-a-ding-ding. 13. My number 13 is, I remember your reaction to this game was amazing. Because I'm like, what? You loved it so much that after the game, you just sat there and
at least 20, as a matter of fact.
At least 20. But you were so, blown away by this game.
Okay.
It's Carpe Diem.
Carpe Diem.
It's so good.
I was blown away by this game.
You weren't. I don't even know what the name of the mechanic is in that. What is that?
What would you call that? I mean, it's a tile placement game.
It's a tile, but the way you get those tiles is so
I'm not
weird.
sure what you'd call that.
So basically, there is a circle of tiles, okay? Your meeple can bounce from place to place to place in these lines. It has to follow these specific lines.
Yeah.
You can't just choose where you want to go. When you get to the place that you want to be at, you then take one of the 4 tiles that's in that space. And bouncing around from, I think you can only ever have 2 bounces, right? Unless the space is totally empty.
If it's empty, you can keep bouncing. Right. Otherwise, you have to go to one of the 2 spaces.
Yes, exactly. So you're always following this line. Once you get to where you want to be, then you choose one of those tiles. You then bring it over to your board that is bordered by ways to score. So it's like cross-hatching. So it's like tic-tac-toe across, where lines go all the way across. And then on the border, it tells you what they want you to score there. So on this line, there may be like chicken coops. Down here, it might be like a vineyard or like an herb garden. And you want to create those herb gardens and places over that line. So they're the line's intersecting your garden,
right,
or intersecting your whatever you're growing or doing. Then at the end of the game, you score that amount of points as many times as you've done that down that line. And so you can see how that'd be super fun, keeping that in mind as you're building your like little town or whatever. There's also places you can get silver, and then there's a bakery as well. So you score by the borders, and then you also can score over here when at the end of the round, each player takes his token and places it on these very clever little like circle crop outs in the cards, and you have to be able to score both of the cards that your token is touching, because if you can't, you will actually get negative points, which has killed me so many times.
This game, you actually start with points because they expect you to potentially lose points the first round, because you won't be able to finish 2 of those cards.
It's so frustrating too when you can't quite get that thing. It's very... Gosh, this game is so fun. I feel like I trashed the explanation of that.
No, I think it's
but it's
pretty
weird
good
to explain it. It's funky.
My favorite part of the game, actually, the tile placement's fun. The acquiring the tiles is all fun. But that board where you score on the side that you're talking about with the tokens, that gets progressively smaller and smaller and smaller.
Right.
Because when you put your token out there, that combination of 2 ways of scoring is no longer available for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Now, you could score that card again because there's 4 different sides that card can score, but that specific combination can't.
Yeah.
So you can't just be like always doing the same thing over and over. You have to be somewhat different with what you're doing. Now, some of the cards will be somewhat similar, so you can kind of work towards that as a group. But it just gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and as you progress, you have more ways of scoring and more ways of fulfilling these cards. But which cards you're fulfilling may not be as good as if you just, score the same 2 cards over and over.
Right. So anything you do out here, make sure you're watching that, because it totally ties in directly to what
you're doing. You can make
doing.
the best little board with tons of little resources, but if you can't utilize those resources over here, you're getting negative points in the round.
And one more thing about this game that people are like, it's just not a very pretty game.
It is not.
The artwork is microscopic. Like the chickens in this game, look at all those chickens. They're like that big. And like the little herb gardens, the leaves, you're like, what is that? And then like, I think there's been some issues with the colors. The green colors are so close in hue that a lot of people have complained that it's hard to differentiate.
There's like some yellows that are very close.
But it's a beautiful Steffenfeld game.
There's a second printing that addresses some of those issues.
Did that fix anything? Because I don't think I've even seen it.
I haven't seen it in person, but it's supposedly better.
Okay.
Anyway.
We'll see. Okay, so what is your number?
13. Mm-hmm. My number 13 is Pulsar 2849.
Oh. Fun.
Yes. I am actually pretty surprised that you don't like this game.
Top 20 of all time.
Does not like this game. Yeah, this is a great game.
Gosh.
It's dice manipulation and placement, which we both love.
We love.
So why on the earth you don't like this one? I don't know.
Because it's space. I don't love space.
You don't love space, that's true. And it's pretty involved. There's a lot of things you can do. So there's lots of ways to kind of divert your attention. It's played on this massive board, and you're flying your ship through these like warp points, essentially. Now, the game is really just, point-to-point movement. The warp is just all in the theme. As you go along, you can actually put out these like gyroscopes, and then you can fill in these gyroscopes and spin them, and you get points for doing those things. You can discover planets, and depending on how many planets you discover, you get points for that. Now, you do all that by dice. And there's a board that lets you either, you can use them for movement, or you can use them to build various things, or you can use them to acquire, like, abilities later in the game. So this whole board that these dice can be acquired. You can even, like, build these satellites, and as you build these satellites, you get a bonus die. And you want to maximize your actions, because the more actions you have, the better chance you're going to win. So you're always trying to get a bonus die. Lots of different ways to get a bonus die per round, but you're never guaranteed that. So what's really unique about this game is you will roll a handful of dice, depending on your player counts, and you put those dice out on their spots, either 1 through 6, and depending on how heavy one side is to the other, there's a little arrow that will point in that direction. So there's all these different steps.
Yes, okay.
And now, say you have a lot of 6s, or a lot of 5s and 6s, that piece will be pretty high in that little chain. So if you take anything lower than, or to the left side of that arrow, then you will go up on a track.
Right.
If you take anything on the right side,
it's all coming
you go
back to me.
down on the track.
Better block that out.
And there are 2 tracks. And this is the meaty part of the game that I love. Just, it's so good. And honestly, this game would probably be higher on my list if you liked it more, because I would be playing it more. So you have ruined it for me. You've ruined it for me.
I'm listening to explain this and going, yep,
anyway,
that's why I didn't like it.
So there's these 2 tracks. One track is your turn order. Very important to go turn order, because you're the one that's drafting first. Okay. The other track is just like a resource track. So the higher you up on there, you get more free resources and these cubes that let you, do all sorts of different things. You can convert these into other things. Guys, there's so much to this, and I'm never going to be able to explain it all in this short little area. It is so meaty, so good.
Just go play it.
If you like dice placement, dice manipulation, this one might be one of the best ones out there. In fact, I think it's one of the best ones out there.
Yeah.
But be warned, there's lots to do, lots to think
I honestly feel like I tried playing this game when I did not have a very good gaming head on my shoulders. And so there was a lot of concepts that I was like, wait, what? And also just like...
So we should play it again, so that you'll see if you like it.
I have something to do that day. It's very, very important. I have to be. I can't be late to that thing. Okay, we're at number 12, and I love this game, and I would absolutely consider a gateway game.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't think so.
This one is soothing to me. It's relaxing.
Okay.
It's so easy to teach and easy to learn. It is Century Spice Road.
I am not surprised that this is on your list.
I talk about it a lot, and I always want to play it, and we don't play it enough.
I'm a little surprised at how much you like it. I mean, it's a good game, but
I don't know what it is. It's something in my heart.
Talk about this a lot.
I love it. I do.
That's cool.
It's just a card game where you're acquiring spices and trying to get certain combinations of spices to be able to fulfill cards that are like a number of cards that are out for everybody to try to get combinations for.
Sure.
So you can use your spices that you have in your caravan to discard and upgrade. So sometimes you're sacrificing like a lot of spices to get just one, but those are more valuable, and you can use that more valuable spice to get the more valuable card. Once somebody fulfills a card and is able to take it into their hand for those points, it slides down and another card comes out. So there's constantly like a row being replenished of possible points to get. I love it. That space is basically it.
Yeah, it's got like a little bit of an engine building aspect to it.
Little one.
Because as you put cards out, they'll either give you more of, they'll give you more cubes, or they'll change cubes from one thing into another thing. And the cards that are out there, they have a certain combination. So they might have 2 yellows and a brown and a green. Mm-hmm. So even if you have like all the best spices, that might not be what that card requires. So you still need some of the yellows, you need some reds, greens, browns. So you want to have somewhat of a variety of ways of kind of combining those two things together. So per turn in
your hand, you play one of your cards down and you do that action. So like if I play down this card says get rid of 2 yellows for 1 green, I would then do that, and I think that's my turn. And you just kind of keep doing that in turn until you're able to finally on my turn I have the right amount of spices to do this, so then I will do that action. There's also a row that all the players can take from. But say I don't want the first card, I have to take one of my lowliest spices. They use the yellows to do this.
Yeah, you don't want to commit one of your heavy, your better spices. Yeah.
So take a lowly yellow spice. I forget what it actually is in the game. But you'll put it down and say, no, I don't want that one, I don't want that one, I want this one. So you're also sacrificing spices here to get this card that you really want because you want to pump up that little engine because you know you want a lot of greens and you want to have that because it's going to help you do that. Then, of course, you left all those yellows out so people can take them with that card. It's just... I love it.
It's a smooth-running, quick, fast-paced game that really anybody could pick up.
Absolutely.
It's a good one.
So what is your number 12?
On my number 12 is Merlin.
Oh my gosh. I forgot about that game.
Did you? Yeah, we've only played it... You've only played it a couple times. I think I played it more than you. Yeah, because I played it with our game group a couple of times. Yep. Merlin is another game that involves dice, guys. Yeah, I love dice placement games.
I'm discovering that about you.
I don't like lucky dice, but I do like dice placement games.
That's cool.
Merlin is a game that does not work amazingly with just the base. It's one of those that really comes complete once you add the first
Arthur
expansion.
Or something, the expansion.
Well, there's the Arthur expansion. There's what I can't remember what the name of the first expansion is now, but it's a must. Yeah. So look it up, Google it.
I can't remember it either.
Google it.
Sorry.
It has like a new track in the middle, but you are moving. It's in a rondel format, and you're moving around and doing these actions. Once you pass something, you can no longer go back.
Keep going.
Thanks, Ellen. Once you go move, you can't move back unless you do. There's sometimes like these flags that you could acquire and to go back. But there's these different districts, and you can put influence out in these districts. Once you have influence in these districts, it makes those districts kind of a little bit better for you. You also get points for those districts at the end of the game.
That is cool. I forgot
you
about
can also, as you're visiting these districts, get flags. Each one of those flags has a special ability that lets you go in various directions or whatever the case might be. There's so much involved in this game, I'm not going to get to everything.
Yeah, no, you're not. I remember when we played it, we were on vacation, and there was so much going on in the house, and the baby kept trying to get out of the cabin. So it took us hours to get through it just because, there is a lot, and we were learning it as we played.
There's so much.
But that was fun, and I love Rondell.
Yeah, and when you put a dice out, it moves that many spaces. So you're constantly counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do 4. Well, if I go here, then I got this dice over here. It'll let me move 2. So if I move 4 first, and then I move 2, I can do these 2 actions. And then if I do that, it's like, oh crap, I don't really have anything else to do. Well, I could go, I have a flag over here that lets me go reverse. So now this 4 could be a 4 this way or this way. So if I move it backward, then I'll move it forward to my next die. So AP can abound.
That's what it was.
Game.
It's all coming back to me.
It can AP this game so much. If your group is AP prone,
don't.
If you're okay with long turns, more power to you. But this game can drag out a ton. There's just so many ways of planning out your moves. And you don't need to plan out every single space, but it's definitely very helpful to at least think a few turns ahead.
You need to have a plan B, because if you don't, you're going to be thinking forever on what to do.
And then there's this Raider deck that comes in. You need these shields to block them from coming in. So many good things. The expansion mainly adds this middle section that Merlin goes around. Yep. And or no, it's Merlin? No, it's not Merlin, it's Arthur. Is it Arthur the first expansion? Oh, gosh, this is just going to kill me,
Somebody
guys.
correct us.
I think Arthur might be the first expansion. Anyway, the first expansion fixes a lot of the potential issues of the game. I don't think it's a broken game, but adding that little middle section especially, it makes everything so much better. This is a good game that I do definitely recommend the first expansion for. And it's one of those I'd probably just pick it up right away.
Okay.
All right, now for the final one of this list. This is the number 11 of our top 20 of all time. Rounding out this particular video, Ellen, what do you got?
That was great, babe. You did a really good job.
Thank you.
You're really good. Number 11 for me is Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Okay.
What was that for you? 17 or 16?
It was 19, I believe.
Oh, okay.
19.
So pretty darn low for you. However you want to say that.
Well, pretty darn low of the top 20
That's
games
true.
of
That's
all
a good
time.
point.
They're all good.
They're all good. I won't go into detail about it again, but oh my goodness, it is one of those things where every single time we play, it is so fun. And I also love that it's bag building. That's different. It's different because it's a bag. Like, it is. I don't know what. You take how high you got on the pot, where you landed, you look at the amount of, like, buy power you have, you're able to, that's where your strategy is, okay? So you're looking at your buy power, and you're buying stuff that can work well off each other. Remember earlier we said some chips tend to work really well with other chip colors. Put those in your bag, you draw them out. It's so good. Everybody that we show that game to loves it and actually buys it.
Yeah.
Like, our gaming group has a lot of people.
It is one of those that has been universally liked by everybody we showed it to.
Fantastic.
And at least a couple of people have bought it after playing it.
And the Herb Witches expansion adds so much more replayability.
Definitely great. Not needed, but definitely a really good addition to it.
And that is the thing. And that is so refreshing. I love when I have a game and I could either just play the base or add the expansion. I'm cool either way. I don't feel like it has to have it because it wasn't quite, I love it. I love it with both.
I agree.
So I just got very passionate there.
Very passionate.
I know. Number 11.
My number 11 is Paladins of the West
Yeah,
Kingdom.
I expected to see this somewhere.
The crunchiest one of this new trio so far. I mean, that's only the second one of the trio that's planned. And people compare this like trio to like the Raiders and things like that.
Right.
Paladins is definitely the crunchiest one of them all.
That one was a brain burner for me, actually. Yes. Quite a lot.
Yes. Lots of AP in this game also. As you can tell, a lot of my games can be prone to AP.
Yeah, what's your problem?
But you know what? Say no to AP, kids. This one is fun in the way that it's trying to figure out the most efficient way of making your turns.
You love stuff like that.
I love efficiency. That's everything my brain thinks about efficiency in everything I do.
That's so cute. That's so true.
Thanks, sweetheart.
Like, that's literally how you live your life. No wonder you love friggin' Paladin so much.
Yes. So with this, you need like something to go up on something. Well, you need something to go up on this something, and you need that something to go up on this something. So everything is commingled and intertwined. So for us, there's these base actions here that make you go up on these 3 tracks. There's 3 different tracks. There's a blue, red, and black. To go up on the blue track, you need like, I can't remember exactly the color combinations, but it's like you need red to go up on blue or black to go up on blue. And so you need red to get up on blue. Well, then to get up on red, you need like black to get up on red. And you go, well, how do you do all that? Yeah. Well, you kind of incrementally leapfrog as you're going along. It's one of the better ways of doing it. On the left-hand side, you have all these other things you can do. Inquiring, coins or building these huts that go out that make these other areas cheaper to go to. Because you have all of these different colored pieces.
Yes.
You need different color pieces depending on where you go essentially on the right-hand side of the board. So you need some red, green, and something else for this. And there's some that you can use any colors, and then there's some like laymen that are just white, and they're like fodder really for the rest of what's going on. So you usually use those because they're like non-specialty.
They're boring.
Right. And you can use those over here. And then there's purple that are wild. Well, to get purple, they're like the criminals. I don't know if they're called criminals, but basically it's like a criminal act to get them, essentially. Yeah. I think they're actually called criminals. And they're all wild. So you usually get some sort of debt to go with it when you get it. And then you can pay off your debt or flip your debt so you kind of compensate for the bad part of getting purple. And you're putting those different colors out, and you have to put them in certain areas to get these certain things. There's just so many moving pieces, and you have to have them in the right order, in the right way, in the right chain to ultimately get up on the tracks you need to get up on.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to this because I played it one time,
Only once?
I've played it one time.
I've played this a lot with a lot of different people.
Yeah, you did. You totally did. I never got my mind wrapped around what needs to happen.
We should play it again, though.
I will play it again because I know...
I feel like we've played this 2 or 3 times together.
Babe.
No, we have. Consult the BG stats.
That's a good way to check.
Because I'm pretty sure you played it at least twice.
Gosh, anyway. I don't remember. It's very brain burny, and my mind has a hard enough time remembering what I had for breakfast this morning. It's
a difficult one. It rewards multiple plays. It's like most board games, it rewards multiple plays. Sure. But this one you do definitely need multiple plays to get really good at it.
Yes.
Unless you have somebody that's kind of pointing you in the right direction, or at least giving you some specific hints to give you kind of that head start, then you can be competitive on the first go. But crunchy goodness. All right, guys, thank you for watching our 11 through 20. Our top 10 will be coming up here shortly after this video airs. Please stick with us for the top 10 because those games are even better than these games. That's why they're on that list.
Yeah,
and not
that's
this
why they
one.
made that half and not
these
this
are good.
half.
These are good. Don't get me wrong.
Don't
get me wrong. These are good. The other 10 though are gooder better.
They're gooder.
Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next top 10.
Bye.